All right, let's move along now to left guard. And, of course,
holy cheeks alert.
Here's this guy right here. And we're talking about, of course, our boy, Aaron Banks, the big free agent signing from Ryan Gutekunst last offseason. Man, it just hasn't worked out. And here's what's crazy, too, is like we weren't crazy about the signing when it happened. I know I was very vocal in saying, listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I understand offensive line evaluation more than Brian Gutekunst or anybody on his staff. I'm just a dumb redneck fan that loves the game of football. I have no idea how to evaluate properly and all that. Goody went out. When he signed him, immediately people pull the PFF grades. They pull the tape. There's a lot to lock there. I mean, 6'5", 325. We said we wanted to play bully ball, right? Go get a big mauler, get a guy up front. So on the surface, it was like, okay, this may make sense. Now, when you looked at the contract, it was really a one-year deal plus 3. We'll talk about that in a second. But the PFF grades, 56, 59, 52, and then 2024, 65.4. You go, oh, all right, maybe he's taking a jump here. Maybe you're catching him ascending, right?
65%.
65%. That's what he goes back to 55.6, and I think we would all agree it was tough to watch. Former second-round pick. The fact that Goody was willing to go out there and put some money on the table for Aaron Banks tells me he probably had a grade somewhere in the second round, maybe even higher. Who knows? But when you look at his current contract breakdown, this is what we were talking about. Notice the potential out here from Spot Track. Potential out is 2026, 1 year, $29.4 million with a dead cap of 20.2. So really the numbers you want to look at is the cap hit and the dead cap attached. So when we fast forward to 2026, the cap hit is $24.8 million. The dead cap, $20.2 million, meaning you can free up over $4 million in cap space. However, if you go to over the cap, you can see here with a post June 1 cut, you're freeing up $18 million. Now, keep in mind, that doesn't get him completely off the books in year 2. That kind of splits that cap a little bit, and a little bit more falls on next year, which I think we wouldn't be overly concerned about. So the reality is you can free up $4 million, wipe him off the books completely, or you can do a post-June 1 cut, kick a little bit of it down the road, and free up $18 million right now. Now, when you look at the rest of the left guard position here, your backups are Lasita Smith, who, as we found out, was our emergency center. I got to be honest, I feel like he held his own considering he was thrown into the fire, right?
Super Shawn, good dude. Got to meet him at camp last year. Lasita Smith, stand-up guy. Probably not the worst third or fourth string emergency center that you could have, and possibly a guy who could help us out at the guard position, honestly, if we have issues. So shout out Lasita Smith.
And then you got the rookie 7th-round pick, John Williams. I think he was actually a tackle. Now, he had back surgery, so we didn't see him at all this year. They started to try to open that practice window, and he never really seen any time on the field. Obviously, he didn't get completely activated. But those are your 2 backups as it sits right now. So if we're going to move on from Aaron Banks, you better have a backup plan, right? Who is that backup plan? How would you approach that? I feel like left guard, if you do move on from Aaron Banks. Now, do I think they will? They probably won't. They'll probably give it another year. I wouldn't be surprised. There's got to be an adjustment to that $24.8 million cap hit, obviously. I would like to see them move in a different direction. There's Joe Trev, a.k.a. Ike Turner, in the chat, says, I remember 49ers fans saying, holy overpay.
I remember that too.
I do too.
Numerous posts. I've seen them.
And you know
I got
what
a question for you, Clay. Just real quick.
My response was, Tim? My response was, shut up. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, because you want to believe the best, right? You want to see the best. I'm just putting this out there. I think the consensus, at least among, the PTA posse, is that, we're probably done with the Elgton Jenkins experience in Green Bay. The writing's on the wall. But my question is, if he does test the market, it's lukewarm for him, and he's able to, sign a deal here to stay in Green Bay and move back to left guard. Is there an interest in Elgton, even though he's at that dirty 30? We've seen his best football seems to have been at left guard. We tried moving him to center. Wasn't horrible, wasn't great. What are your thoughts? How do you feel about that? If we were able to get that done, keep him here, on a 3-year deal or something, which is really a 2-year, and kind of put a Band-Aid over that left guard position, one less thing to kind of worry about with some veteran play there.
I think it makes a lot of sense, but I'm kind of indifferent on it, because, and I want to get your take on this too, Jacob, because like the big thing that sticks out to me is you're seeing him decline here. If you look at the PFF grades, 69, 66, 82, 72, 64, 65, 62. So there seems to be a decline there, right? That worries me a little bit. What if he's as bad as Aaron Banks was this year? If you decide to move on from Aaron Banks, bring Elgton back on a restructured deal. Now, Elgton Jenkins' contract is currently at $24.8 million. Okay. So he's sitting at $24.8 million, the same exact cap hit as Aaron Banks. However, if you cut him, you free up $20 million. The way I would approach it, Tim, I would cut him and say, hey, go get your best offer on the market and come back and see us. Now, he may tell us to kick rocks when he comes back, right? That he may not come back. He may not answer the call. But if he goes into free agency and all he can get is $8 million, I would be okay for bringing Elgton back at $10 million. And I think that's a great plan. You put him at left guard. If you can go out and get a Tyler Linderbaum at center, boy, if you paint that picture from left to right, Jordan Morgan, Elgton Jenkins, Tyler Linderbaum, Anthony Belton, Zach Tom, and then you add some, maybe a draft pick or two, you add another free agent piece, who knows, maybe somebody on the backside and we'll talk about right tackle later on, probably tomorrow's episode, but like Darian Kennard being a solid backup, if you bring him back as a restricted free agent, that would help as well. I don't hate it, Tim, for the right price, but that goes for every player, right? So
I popped Coach Len's comment up here. I wonder if he's, interjecting this too, because we're forgetting about Nacho Libre, and Shawn Rhyan has looked, pretty decent at right guard, and played a little center for us. But maybe the thought, if it's not Elgton, do you move Shawn Rhyan to left guard in some way, shape, or form?
Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. These positions are kind of intertwined, right?
Yeah.
And like when you look at Shawn Rhyan, 49, 61, 59. PFF doesn't like him, obviously. At the center position here, I'm trying to see. It doesn't show what he ranked at the center position. Yeah, it does 20th. So he was the 20th highest graded center in the league last year. Now, his run blocking, obviously better than pass blocking, 65.6. We got to be prepared for him to be a little bit of a leak there at left guard, right? At the 42.4 pass blocking grade. For the right price, I'd like to have Shawn Rhyan back as well. Now, if it comes down to Elgton Jenkins at $10 million or Shawn Rhyan at say $5 million, give me Shawn Rhyan and go hit free agency, right? Try to fill this void. Jacob, what's your take on this so far, man? And I see the super chats. We're going to get to all of them, I promise, guys.
Yeah, we got a couple of them piling up. But honestly, I'll just say this, that going into this year, I was very hopeful about our offensive line and what the depth was there. Going into this offseason, I'm severely worried about our starting lineup and our backups. Just us highlighting this right now, I feel like that barring, the fact that if we can just guarantee that Zach Tom stays healthy, that Jordan Morgan's going to be a stud left tackle, that we'll figure it out at the left guard position. We'll just figure out how we get a good center. And then our right guard is a second-year player, third-year player, whoever we want to interject there, and they're going to be stud. To me, that is a lot of ifs and buts. And, to me, it's a lot more hopium than anything else. And I just need us. If anything, I saw a comment, I believe I highlighted it, talking how like we got to address offensive line in the second, maybe the third round, maybe in the off season, maybe in free agency. Because to me, that's our biggest bleeding area on this team. Jordan Love, the guy can't do much more than what he did in that playoff game. And honestly, throughout the season, but he's running for his life and he doesn't have a lot of time back there and he doesn't have the ability to kind of go through his reads. You know what I mean? And obviously we saw what Josh Jacobs could do when he had just a tiny sliver of a hole. And the fact that we're just kind of just expecting these guys to make chicken, you know what I'm saying?
I love that picture of Josh Jacobs. It's literally Josh Jacobs gets hit by 4 people in the backfield, and he somehow leaves that pile behind him.
You know what I'm saying? It just, to me, it seems like that is the biggest. We're trying to. It feels like we're putting Band-Aids on bullet wounds right now on that offensive line, and I really just want us to go in, do a full-on surgery, and let's just regroup that whole situation because and that includes the coach as well. The offensive line coach, I believe. You start with the top, you work your way down. But I just, to me, it feels like we need to do a complete revamp on this situation.
I don't want to
and when you look at the calculated market,
poop my hands. So,
thanks, Coach. When you look at the calculated market value for Shawn Rhyan, we're talking about $6.5 million average annual salary. We know that can be a little low, that can be a little high. Let's say the number holds true. You're looking at a cap hit next year of about $4 million. Sign me up for Shawn Rhyan for four or five against the cap next year, right?
I'll take that.
You can give him a 3-year deal, and sweeten the pot a little bit with a little more guaranteed money, you get out of that deal within 1 year if you wanted to, right? If for anything, just a parallel there with Nacho Libre would be worth money, I think, personally. So falling back now, let's talk Jacob Monk. Are we overlooking Jacob Monk, guys? And again, there's not a whole lot of snaps here, right? I don't want us to get out over our skis, but he played 17 snaps in week 17, or I'm sorry, 6 snaps in week 17. And then he ended up playing, God, what is it? 51-ish snaps, 52-ish snaps, over 50 snaps there in week 18. His grade, 73.7, what if we look up in the offseason and Jacob Monk is the starting center?
Here's a guy.
This is a guy, a former 5th-round pick that this coaching staff loved. They raved over this guy when they drafted him. Tim, you remember? Because we looked at the tape and we wasn't like over the moon, but the coaches loved Jacob.
He's a pure center, right? He was a pure center at Duke, right?
At Duke. And Tim, I think he was a very, very rare 4 or 5 year captain. Like he was a captain every year on the team.
So I think you're right. Maybe we are sleeping a little bit here. And I know if Emilio was on with us right now, he'd definitely be, co-signing that. He knows about his homie Travis Glover. I'm sure he's excited for Travis Glover's future. But some of these old linemen that have kind of been under the radar. I wonder if Emilio would agree that maybe we do have an answer and he's in house and he just needs a crack at this.
Tim, how crazy would it be if next year 2 of the 5 positions is Jacob Monk and Travis Glover, and they actually succeed?
Right.
And then we have 2 other draft picks that a lot of people, again, with Morgan, and let's say maybe it's Belton, and then we know what we have in Tom. Like and I'll ask you all, you're the guy that's there on the field in Green Bay. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Jacob Monk was one of those guys that pre-injury, he was hyping up the sidelines.
Oh yeah.
During the OTAs, like just a man of the people sort of thing, right? He's running around literally getting people jacked up pregame for the OTAs and for the practices. Like that's kind of what you want, right?
Yeah, someone who wants to be there and loves their job, right?
Exactly.
And a center is an extension of your quarterback on that offensive line. You have to have your head in the game. You have to know the protections, but you also have to be a leader out there on that O-line. And man, maybe there's smoke to that fire. Don't sleep on Jacob Monk. He certainly fits the mold. He's built like a center. He's played a lot of center. Graded out pretty good according to PFF. I mean,
in college they graded out amazing, right? That Duke O-line was no joke.
And I think him going into OTAs or camp, this year as the backup isn't the worst thing. I'm not saying you don't go out and find another center, but Jacob Monk could provide depth there at that position.
Absolutely, yeah. So, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how everything unfolds here in the offseason. Again, we kind of hit on guard, left guard, and center together. So we'll just kind of group those together. I want to ask everybody, if you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, how do you feel about left guard and center? Everything we've thrown out several different game plans you could potentially have to fix in these spots, right? Would you rather keep Elgton Jenkins around? Maybe you think, no, let's keep him around. You could do a restructure too. Keep that in mind. He may be open to a restructure where you guarantee a little bit of the base salary, try to shave some of that money off. You could also do voidable years. I'm just kind of to the point where unless he's willing to take a decent pay cut, I think it would be more respectful and make more sense to let him test the market, come back with the best offer, then you can kind of reevaluate where you're at as an organization. But let us know in the comments what you think. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any future streams. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. I want to say this before we get to these super chats too, guys. I want everybody who's watching live, we had a bunch of people watching live. Thank y'all so much. If you tuned in because you seen the thumbnail about the Jim Leonard update, go to the front of the show, okay? Go to the very, very first of the show. That's the first thing we covered. I don't want to mislead anybody with that. That's what we led off with. Now we're talking offensive line. So make sure you guys just rewind it back. Be kind.